talking about how I would make 250K if I started in 2024 with absolutely no experience. And this one is actually going to be, I know I like to talk about like getting in your head, but today we are going to get into the weeds and we're going to give you a step-by-step plan on what you need to do. It's simple math. 250K on average. I did a very conservative wholesale deal average of 12K. Why? Because if you're new, 12K is something you aspire to. I'm not saying that's what you're going to eventually do on the deals, but in the beginning, sometimes you're going to have $2,000 and $3,000 deals. That's okay because you'll never get hurt taking a profit. And the main thing in wholesaling to understand is to minimize your risk and maximize your reward. That's why you're attracted to this business. Number two, it is a perfectly legal business. And number three, we've proven time and time again, not with just me, but for the last 200 years, wholesaling has been highly effective. And honestly, it is the gateway to become very wealthy. And most important part is get freedom of your time. So that's how I joined it. I did it back in 2003. And here we are in 2024. And I want you to understand, you have to understand the fundamentals of wholesaling. So you got to have a roadmap how to get there. So if I say 250K, well, everybody likes the wing numbers, 500, a million. Let's start at 250K. If you figure a $12,000 average deal, that on average, it's about 2 deals a month, 1.73 to be exact. So the reality in the first 3 to 6 months, you're going to be behind the curve. And the last 6 months, you should be pushing these numbers up. So don't freak out in the beginning if you don't have a deal because you can't pull the panic button. You've got to understand. I teach you how to run a marathon. If you want a sprinter, go on the internet. They're everywhere. Their courses pop up. One day there's a course, next day there's a course. I do this, and then the course is relabeled, the price change. And then they always have a Black Friday sale. I don't do any of that crap because it doesn't help you. I just give it to you. And that's the best part about what we do. So let's go ahead and dive into it. If you understand the basic math, burn it in your head, write it down, whatever you need to do, you've got to understand. The next part you have to understand is you've got to start with just getting your first deal. That's it. So many of you are trying to chase. I want you to get to 250, but until you get to your first deal, it's pointless, right? So we have to put all our effort into getting our first deal. And I think some of you guys are looking so far past your first deal, and it's okay to get excited about it, but we've got to understand your job as a newbie wholesaler or a brand new wholesaler is to get your first deal. Now, if you've already got your first deal, great. Today's live still applies to you. I promised you. And I decided to share some tactics. I really don't share a whole lot. I am an open book on everything I do. Some strategies, I try not to go too deep because most people with a high failure rate in wholesaling is you get pitched like, I'm going to make $1 million my first 6 months. The reality is those are sprinters that are pitching you and they're just going to take your course money. And you got to figure out how to get to your first deal. So why don't we focus on what you really need, on how can I get my first deal? So number one, you've got to understand, you've got to learn the fundamentals of wholesaling. So any of you that have taken sports or played an instrument or participated in any collective, anything that takes work, they all have the same thing. You have to learn the basics. So if you wanted to play football, you wanted to play soccer, starting with football, if you can't learn how to catch, tackle, and block, don't worry about a jet sweep. Don't worry about the pulling guard. Don't worry about fake punts. None of it's going to, see, everybody wants to learn the trick plays and the Hail Marys. Very few people want to learn the fundamentals. And I find the same true in wholesaling. You can apply it to sports. You can apply it to music. Everybody wants to rip off an Eddie Van Halen electric guitar, but nobody wants to learn the basic chords. You know, those ugly things you sit there, it's painful. And by the way, a lot of credit for people who play guitar because I think it's fascinating. I think my ADHD takes me over. It's a lot of work. So why would it be any different in wholesaling? And if you come in with the mentality, it's going to be super easy. I don't have to do any of the basics. It's not going to work. So recognize that up front. As I said, we're not going to do the head games. We're just going to talk about strategies today. So how do I learn the fundamentals of wholesaling? You guys know exactly. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I call it a course, but that's misleading because it is instruction manual on how to do wholesaling from A to Z, starting on your first deal. To get you your first deal, remember we always talk about the first deal. Me and my son have wrote it. And I wrote it and I custom wrote it with him while I taught my son while he was in high school. And the one thing I learned from this is the simpler you make things, the clearer you are on your message, the easier it is for the people to absorb the information and actually apply. So you got to bring the hustle, the work. Go over to freewholesaling.com. It's all spelled out for you. It's free. That's the really cool part. So we have removed the biggest obstacle in wholesaling, which is this big veil that all the gurus put in front of you. A lot of people say I'm not gurus. I'm just giving you the truth. Gurus charge for what they do, period. And then they go, well, I'm going to give you this free section of the course. You can't do that. You got to get the whole thing free or it doesn't work. So if you don't get the whole course and you don't know what you're getting at, don't buy it, because I promise you, it's not going to live up to my course. Why? Because I got 21 years experience. My son is approaching 8 years on it. That's 29 years experience. So make sure if you're going to use somebody else's courses that the credentials are there, meaning they've been through it. We've been through massive changes in real estate, especially in the last 10 years. I find most people got successful in 2013, 14, 15, and now they're all coaching and doing this. The reality is I have been through every type of market you can humanly be into it. And I understand the fundamentals. I see the bigger picture in wholesaling. And for people that are going to scare you and say wholesaling is illegal and all this other crap, please, you can't gossip about this business. You got to stick to the business. If I thought it was going to be illegal, I would not be on this YouTube channel. I would not be talking to you right now. In fact, back in 2003, I was told it was going to be illegal. Don't even bother doing it. Thank God I never listened to someone's opinion, because it was from someone I didn't even take validity from. I think it was from like a title person, the receptionist. And now fast forward today, you guys get opinions on the internet. You have no idea who's behind the keyboard, and you let them get in your head, and you got to stop that right off the bat. So here's what you need to do. Now, after you go to freewholesaling.com, this is the one thing the couple basic fundamentals I'm going to share with you. As I skip this one, learn the fundamentals of wholesaling. You go over to freewholesaling.com, as we just said. The next one, confess your past or it's going to follow you. So be honest with yourself. If you know you're lazy, you sleep until 9 or 10, and it doesn't work. I'm not saying you have to wake up at 6 or 7. Honestly, wholesaling is the one business you can actually sleep in, but you're going to have to work through the night. You see, here's the fundamental difference how I teach wholesaling versus everyone else. I give you the truth. It's hard work. And that's the piece you need to understand. If you're not willing to work hard, nothing I'm going to share with you today is going to work. But honestly, that's a life lesson. It's not even a wholesaling lesson. Whenever you think something's so super easy, slide in there. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. So if you've decided not to be like everybody else, and you admit, I want to put in the hard work to get the lifestyle that I deserve, my family deserves, and really get freedom to do what I want in life, then you have to accept the hard work thing. I'm not even going to put it up here because I beat it to death. I know I do. The next thing you've got to understand, this is the biggest one. You got to stop worrying what others think of you. I promise you, when you start your wholesaling journey, especially as a newbie, you're going to get attacked. Everyone's going to tell you it's a scam. They're going to either tell you it's illegal, it's a scam. Why don't you go back and just get a regular job and do all that? Listen, if you're watching this video, you already know a regular job is something you do to build somebody else's dreams, and you do a job so you can just get by. It's just the truth. I've been there. I'm not a hypocrite. 12 years, I did it. And then when I started making a little bit of money at work, what did I do? I wanted to keep up with the Joneses. And you know exactly what that means. And I just said one day, life's got to be better than this. This is ridiculous. And that's how I made my leap in the wholesaling. So understanding this, that you are going to get attacked. It's not if, it's when. And here's the most bothersome part. Your family's going to attack you the hardest. Mine did. If they're watching, just admit it. It's the truth. Why? Because we do what most people will never do. And it scares the hell out of them. And you've got to understand that going into, you're going to be attacked. I got attacked. And now the shoe's on the other foot. Now everybody wants my help. But nobody was there when I was struggling in wholesaling. A lot of you can connect with how I feel with that right now. And I know you're going through it. Just understand that sacrifice you're going to make, that's what's going to make a difference of you being a successful wholesaler or not. Because if you let people get into here, you can't make it in this business, because you're going to do what 95% of the world will never do. Extreme hard work, and you're going to break the matrix. The only way to do it is you got to stop listening to people that are broke, tired, and scared, because that is the problem. So I applaud you for making the decision if you've chose to do wholesaling. And I don't even care how you got here. I'm just telling you, if you do not accept this, nothing I teach you today is going to work, because somehow in society, we're so concerned what everybody else thinks about us. And one of the biggest guilty parties are our parents. My parents did it to me. It cost me 12 years. My goal today is to make sure you don't make the same mistake. It doesn't mean you don't disrespect your parents. It doesn't mean you don't listen to them. But at the end of the day, it's going to be your life, your outcome. And if you don't want the same financial struggles for your parents, if you had them, then don't do it. If you had wonderful parents and they financially took care of you and you want to follow their path, God bless you. I'm fine with it. I want you to be happy. and I want you to be free. I believe wholesaling is the way to do it. If you want to come with me, let's jump on this journey and let's get into it. So we're talking about wholesaling, guys. So here's the number one skill set as a wholesaler. And if you don't understand this, you become a glorified realtor. Give me 10 wholesalers, I'll show you 7 or 8 glorified realtors. Why? They go get their real estate license. Why? Because somebody told them if I don't get a license, it's going to be illegal. It's ridiculous. If you guys watched my son's live yesterday, it was really interesting just to hear. Anytime you start a statement with his, I heard, or so-and-so said with no specific name, discredit it immediately. You have to do the research. You got to read stuff yourself. So politicians introduce idiotic bills on a daily basis, and most of them don't get passed. Thank God. But this is where most of the fear comes into wholesaling, because some left-wing person puts out a bill that says you need a license to even look at real estate. And constitutionally, if you guys read the United States Constitution, contract law, states can't interfere with it. So even some of these ridiculous, there are a few extreme cases. When I say extreme, there's 1 or 2. So guys, 50 states, for the most part, 97% of this nation is 100% legal to wholesale without a license. So don't let anybody scare you into that. So we're going to stop worrying about what others think. So the single focus you have to understand as a wholesaler is right here on the screen. Ready? It will all depend on your ability to locate motivated sellers. Your wholesaling career will depend on your ability to locate motivated sellers. What do I mean by that? You have to find people that have distressed situations. There's really 2 basic categories. The property's distressed, meaning it looks like crap. We're going to show you how to find those properties. Or the second one is the seller is in distress, meaning they have financial issues. Think of all the times in your life that you've either had financial issues or you lived in a home that had distressed issues. I've been on both sides of the party. God knows I grew up in a home. Like I had a good childhood, but like I was far from privileged. And you know what? It's made me who I am today. So we all kind of like, I don't need to give you a course and a deep dive into this. Either the property's distressed, the homeowner's distressed. If they're both distressed, it is the most golden opportunity in wholesaling. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does. So most of us are chasing it down. But here's the problem. A lot of people start out wholesaling. I don't know where they get this information from. And honestly, it's bad. Is you just don't go out and look for houses for sale. So look on my screen. What does it say? You have to locate. Your success is going to depend on your ability to locate motivated sellers. Did I say in here, it depends on your ability to locate houses for sale? That's the distinct difference between a wholesaler and a glorified realtor. There's probably a better name for it, but the reality is most of you out there chasing just houses for sale. And don't get me wrong, it is great practice to do it, but you won't make a lot of money doing it. And you're going to have 10 times the volume what a regular wholesaler is, because you're looking in the wrong places. So if you wanted to go look for tuna, say you want to get your own tuna and you get your own meat. I love tuna fishing, by the way. And then you went out to the Nevada desert looking for tuna. You're not going to find them there, because you at least have to go to the ocean. So a lot of times when we just look houses for sale, it's frustrating because the house isn't distressed and the seller's not distressed. And maybe 1 out of every 300 are 200, or they don't tell you the truth. All I'm telling you is this single thing I'm telling you right here is what people don't understand in wholesaling. And trust me, I've fallen in the trap of just looking for houses for sale. You know why? Because it just kept me busy. Number 2, it sells the crap out of courses. That's why you see a lot of stuff on chasing stuff on MLS. We'll talk about realtors a little bit later, but I'm here to tell you is you have to find motivated sellers, and your ability and your skill set, which we call marketing and wholesaling, is the number one skill set you have to master as a wholesaler. And once you do that, the dominoes will set up. There's 3 phases to wholesaling: marketing, acquisitions, dispositions. You have to do marketing first, because if you don't figure out marketing, which is basically the bloodline of wholesaling, you don't have to worry about acquisitions and dispositions. Now, acquisitions is a skill set that has to be learned through constant repetition and practice. There's no way around it. So you have to practice on your own, and then you're going to have to practice on sellers. And over time, you will master it, because there's only 5 objections you're ever really going to hear in wholesaling. And we teach you exactly how to respond to them, and we make it super simple. So we also teach you how to do the qualification process. We call it MCTP. If you want to learn more, go over to freewholesaling.com. But guys, this right here, if you don't get this statement, it's going to be a struggle. And I'd rather you just deal with motivated sellers than just chasing every house for sale. And the reality is, I'll expand this a little bit better on it. When it comes to dealing with motivated sellers, your best probability of finding them is going to be in off-market properties. So if you're chasing down a course that only teaches you how to locate on-market properties, you're just crap shooting when you do wholesaling. You'll find a deal or two, but you're going to kill yourself trying to do it. Why? Because you don't have the skill set to deal with the on-market properties. And honestly, a lot of FSBOs, for sale by owners, especially the Zillow ones, they're almost worse than the realtor listings because they want above average prices of what a realtor wants without the realtor involved. And they're so emotionally tied to the property. At least the realtor doesn't own the property, but even the realtors can't talk them off the ledge. And the only thing that corrects them is a lot of time. I'm talking 6 to 12 months. So off-market properties, I didn't put it in here, but man, I tell you, that would be, you have to locate motivated sellers in off-market properties. Now, I'm going to share a little trick with you that I learned early in my career, and thank God people applied it. And I had to use this skill set. You know why? Broke. So when you don't have a lot of money, a lot of the courses out there today will teach you like you got to spend $5,000, $10,000 a month on direct mail and all this. Guys, if you're new, it's one of the worst ways to start in wholesaling. I'm not saying it doesn't work. Quite the contrary, it does work. But the problem is the stress it puts on you as a new wholesaler. And let's be honest, a lot of you are watching this. You don't have a lot of money. You have financial issues, and I get it. I was in your exact same shoes. So I didn't start out doing that. I had to find ways to just be big and bad while I was broke. So you all got friends like that, right? They show the bling, the watches, the fancy jewelry, but they're broke. And you know they're broke. We're going to try to do that same philosophy in wholesaling, but we're going to use it for good as opposed to bad. So I don't want you to create a facade. You're never going to lie to people. We don't do that. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to use a tactic called guerrilla marketing, probably one of the most valuable skill sets I learned. And this teaches you how to be a marketer, how to appear much bigger than you ever are on a tiny little skimpy budget. You see, the military used this tactic. Why? Because sometimes they were in impossible odds. And the reality, a lot of you right now are facing impossible odds. Like you think it's impossible. It's not. It is possible. I'm going to give you the blueprint to it today. But if you go back, if you had to face an army of 10,000 soldiers and there was only 500 people in your army, you know it ain't going to work. So the only way you can do is get into people's heads and make yourself much bigger than you ever really were. And this is called guerrilla marketing. So the tactics I'm going to take today really came from guerrilla marketing. And that's where you use strategies to attack, and you do it on a very limited budget. Now, you don't have to do this forever, but if you can get anywhere through your first to 5 deals doing it, it'll make you won't take a huge financial risk. You're going to have to work your butt off. I'm not going to lie to you. Number 2, you won't go broke doing this. You're not going to take food off your family's table. And number 3, it's completely doable. You're the only question mark in it. Anybody can do paid services and make it in this business. But most paid services are going to come with a very expensive coach. And guys, honestly, at the end of the day, between the coach and the paid marketing, you got to set aside anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000. And if you're watching this video, let's be honest, you probably don't have it. That's why you're watching the video. And I'm fine with that because I'm here to tell you, I did it without any of that crap. And if you understand that, you can do it. The good news is you don't have to do it forever. But sometimes we got to deal with the hand that's dealt with us. So if you like a challenge, you like to do this, this is great. If you have ADHD like me, it's so much fun because I love challenges and I always embraced wholesaling. Honestly, it fits perfectly into my persona. And if you struggle with anything like this could be your cure, but don't rely on me for that. So let's talk about guerrilla marketing. And every example I'm going to give you is basically like a guerrilla marketing. If you go over to freewholesaling.com, I go even deeper into this. But I love guerrilla marketing. So I'm going to start out with the most basic ones. I left one of them off here on purpose, and I'm just going to talk about it right now. Number one of the simplest ways you guys can do it that you often overlook because you oh my God, I can't do that. That's so cheesy. Just physical bandit signs. I've done hundreds and hundreds. Listen to me. Hundreds of deals off bandit signs because nobody else was willing to do it. Did I enjoy doing it? Absolutely not. I went out at midnight to 2 a.m. to put them out. It just sucks. Like there's no other word. You have to put the signs out. So don't go buy those big box signs that'll cost you thousands of dollars. The shipping alone will cost you $200 to $300 because they're heavy. Here's what you do. Just go to your box stores, go find a supply company, get an 18 by 24 white sign with a black marker, 3 lines. Sell your house today, any condition, any situation, in your virtual phone number, and write it on one side. Make up 15, sorry about that. Make up 15, 20 signs, spread them in a tight area. That's what you call guerrilla marketing, and move those signs. Now, half of them will get picked up. Pick up those. If you want to pick up the signs or not, it's a personal choice. And then just keep moving in the areas till your phone rings. Once your phone rings, hammer that area and go find other areas. And if you can get your first deal off of that, it's phenomenal. This is one of my son's beginning strategies. It worked phenomenally. Now, the reason I'm not putting it up here because I talk about it a lot and but I'm telling you, I love bandit signs. So that's the freebie on that one. So let's walk through the various ways. Number one, the simple one's driving for dollars. They actually sell a course on it. I don't have a problem with people selling a course on it, but I'm just telling you, I'll save you the time. I created the course way back. So I didn't create the course. That's a joke. This has been around forever. Like even back to our colonial days, people used to walk neighborhoods and look for screwed up houses to do repairs, to buy the house, whatever they need to do. You simply drive around, look for high grass, boarded up windows, blue tarped roofs, the obvious signs that something's really wrong with that property. And you just write down that information. You can go to dmzack.com. You can use our Deal Machine app. It's freaking wonderful. I love it. It works well. But guys, driving for dollars, it's so overlooked. I'm going to keep moving for like speed because I got a lot to go through. And don't worry. This is recorded. So if you're like, oh crap, Rick, I can't write it down this fast. It's all here for you. Let me move over. So I try to interact as much as I go through that. So Brady asked you to buy house signs. Anything you can buy local is going to save you a lot of money because the signs are big and they got to go in big boxes. And for that reason, you're going to get killed on shipping alone. So find a local store company. In the southeast part of the United States, there's a company called Grimco, GRIMCO.com. Here's a little secret. You can sign up and get a corporate account with them. If somebody can come up with a tax ID number, which I don't want you guys to get, but maybe you have a friend that has one, you can get them tax-free. So sometimes you can pick them up at the stores local. They're big in Florida and the Southeast. Look around. I don't know where they're all in parts of the country, and I relied on them for a very long time. But the reality is you can find these. They're a little pricey in like Home Depot, like the Lowe's type of deal, but try to get them locally so you don't have to deal with the shipping. Hopefully that helps you out. The next one, step number 2, government lists. I know me and Zach have coined this phrase, but it works. Why you don't hear about them? Because number one, they're free, but you've got to understand that these lists work. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So if a government list is any type of, it's mostly the city or the county. Like a code violation is a perfect example. When you're out driving for dollars and someone's grass is really high, either the neighbors call on them, a Karen calls on them, sorry if your name's Karen, or the city drives by and they give them a notice and they place it on their door and they mail them legal documents saying, if you don't correct this action in the next 30 days, you're going to go to a special hearing. And if you're found guilty at the hearing and you don't correct the action, we're going to impose a fine on your property until you fix it. They're trying to incentivize people to take care of property so they can keep property values up. Why does the city want to do that? They have a personal interest. They want their money on property taxes. So they need them to go up every year. The only way you can do that is keeping nice neighborhoods. So if neighborhoods go south, they try to correct it. A lot of times I've seen fines as high as $10,000 to $30,000 for one single long cut because you have to go through government procedures. And whenever our government gets involved in anything, it's usually a disaster. This is no exception. I see it all the time. I help out little old ladies, especially in probates where they didn't mow the lawn once because their spouse was passing away and the city hammers them. They didn't deal with the notice. They cut the grass, but they didn't call the city to relieve the violation. And 3 years later, they've got a $10,000 fine. And she's struggling to sell her house. And that's where we help out with wholesalers because we know how it works. So the government list, if you want to go through the detail of all government lists, go over to freewholesaling.com. Me and Zach go through every type of list you can pull. And it's helpful. I don't want to go through every one of these because it'll take too much time. But if you want to expand on this, most of everything I'm talking about to you today will work inside of freewholesaling.com. So awesome. I'm reading comments while you do this. So that's why sometimes I'm stop. I know I got ADHD, but it's not that bad. So when you get government lists, just because they're free doesn't mean they're easy. And listen, most gurus don't tell you to attack these because they can't figure out how to monetize them. And I'm here to tell you, you've got to be in charge. These are lists you're typically going to get on your own. You're not going to hire a third party to do. It is imperative you get the most accurate information and the most up-to-date information. So government list and driving for dollars was my core principle and Bandit Signs for getting my first few deals in wholesaling. And remember, I'm just trying to focus you to get your first deal and get you to that first 250K. You've got to use each one of these steps. Now, when you go to get these lists, don't be shocked when you get resistance. Actually, I guarantee you resistance. Now, a couple hints to help you out with this. If you go in person, it's much better. So if you're doing this in your local market, it's much easier to get any of these lists. If you're doing it virtually, it is more challenging and you're going to have to be very, very resourceful. And resourcefulness is a key ingredient for all wholesalers, because whatever you lack in resources, you're going to have to come creative and be resourceful. And kids are really good at this. You were really good at this young. You're going to have to fire this thing back up, because school has made you like an automatic machine. If you went to college, it's even worse. You're actually going to have to think and come up with on-the-fly solutions and figure out how you can convince people to give you stuff that they're telling you not to give you. Now, most of the documents most of the government documents that you need to access, they are public information. The problem is they have these ridiculous privacy policies, and you got to find a way to navigate them. So you're going to get told to know a lot in wholesaling. You might as well just accept it. And if you can't learn, so the government list is part of the training me and Zach actually incorporate in wholesaling to teach you how to overcome resistance. The easiest way to overcome resistance is with persistence. That's it. Think about whenever you ask somebody out on a date, or think about if any of you that are married out there, the first time you asked out your girl or you waited for the guy, a lot of times he said no. I've been there. Like you just don't quit at no. You can't. And we've been taught in society that no means stop. No is a starting point. No, here's all no means. You got to switch it around. No, if you turn it upside down, is the word on. It means it's on. It just needs more information. And so I teach you how to play with words and talk to people to get what you want. The reality is, if you just say no and you walk away, you will not make it in wholesaling. I guarantee you won't make it. So, okay, Rick, how do I do that? I teach you how to talk to people, and it's not a sales job. It's just being authentic and learning that I expect a no, and I'm going to have to dance with the no. I got to turn the no around, make it an on, and I got to give them more information on what I need to do. And the reality is, if you can overcome 2 objections, you have a high probability of getting what you need. But most people never go past 1. And that's why most people fail in society. That's why most people fail in wholesaling. The minute they get rejected, they're so hurt, and they let their feelings and emotions run it. Guys, you got to run a business here. I don't care how you feel about what I'm telling you, because your sellers don't care, period. You guys are so conditioned by what everybody tells you, your family, everybody around you. You bring it into wholesaling, and that's holding you back. So you're going to have to build a wall, and you're going to have to toughen it up, because your feelings and your emotions, your reflections, they're not going to matter in wholesaling. Now, I'm going to teach you how to harvest that information out of sellers to actually help them get out of their own way. But if you let your personal feelings bother you with rejection and she said, no, I can't get the list, Rick, what do I do? Listen, if you can't get past 1 no, don't even go to freewholesaling.com, because the hard work I told you is always coming, and you got to get there. So overcome resistance with persistence on these government lists. Now, say you go out and you ask for 5 or 6 lists, which is great. You don't have to get every one of them. You virtual people are going to have to ask for a lot more than the local people. That is a fact. Once you have a list, you go, Rick, what do I do? Oh, that's the easy part. Now you got to find a marketing medium message to deliver it to your prospects. So now you have a list. We got to attack that list. I don't have a lot of money, and I need a deal. I want to get a deal now so I can get some money to get this ball rolling. Perfect. So we're not going to do direct mail. We're not going to do pay-per-click. We're not going to do all these fancy, expensive services that you guys are pitched left and right. And they do get results, but you really don't have the skill sets to talk to these people, and you're going to go broke if you do it. So let's find a way where we can find a motivated seller that will actually work with us. So the best method is to take your government list, as I said here, and then we're going to move over to step 3, which is what we call reverse driving for dollars. And reverse driving for dollars, it's the simple strategy. I did not invent it. I will not take credit for it, but I used the crap out of it in my business. I have a list. I figure the route on the list. And now with technology, if you go over to dmzach.com, the damn thing does the whole thing for you. It tells how many miles, hours it's going to take. I had to use maps and all the other crap. And I used to have one of those when things got really fancy in 08, 09. We had one of those GPS you put on the mount of your car. And I thought it was the greatest things in the world. And here we are, everything's on our cell phones. It's absolutely amazing. But you go around, put a sticky note on the door, make it a colorful, chartreuse has been hot, like a hot pink, yellow, whatever it is. And hey, just got a quick question about your house, your name, your virtual phone number. If you go out and put 100, you apply them, 15 people call you back. It's great. With the advent of Ring doorbells and everything else going on, it is highly effective today. It has a much higher callback rate than you're ever going to get on direct mail, cold calling, or any of the other paid strategies. And this is why I'm teaching to you. Is it going to require hard work and effort? Yeah. But this is the type of deal you get in your car, you put on your jam list, and you just go. And I used to do it so much, I got car sick. I actually had a problem with it. And the motion of my eyes that you'll find when you get older, it's not as forgiving when you're young. So if you're young, knock it out of the park. If you're older, just be aware. I don't want anybody getting car sick because I had to do everything on a, what was it? A yellow pad. So I look up, I look down. After a couple hours of it, I would get like motion sickness. And you're talking about a guy who fishes on the ocean all the time. So it's just keep it in mind. So what we want to do is use those lists. Which list do we pair with reverse driving for dollars? This is a key element you've got to understand in this. Now, there's a lot of government lists. To check them all out, go over to freewholesaling.com. I'm going to give you my top 3 lists that I used when I started out wholesaling and I still use today with everybody I work with. You ready? Number 1, code violations. I mean, you knew it was coming. It is one sexy list with houses with problems. These are people need help. And keep in mind, nobody volunteers to be on this list. Nobody wants to be on this list. Everybody wants to be off this list. So by offering your services, by doing the sticky note strategy, you're actually helping these people out because you want to help them out. Nobody chooses to have their house look like that. So it's usually a life condition. Sometimes there's a family illness. It could be death. It could be loss of job. It could be so many things. So we need to help these people out. And that's how I look at it. The next one, pre-foreclosures. These are easy to get from a courthouse. It's very public information. Don't go in and ask for the pre-foreclosure list because they're going to say, I don't know what you're talking about. You're basically looking for the notice of default, lit pendants. It depends on what county, what state you're in. Do a little research. Remember, you got to be resourceful. But these are people that the banks are representing the investors because a large pool of investors own all these funds. It's usually Fannie and Freddie Mae through the United States government. And when they don't make due on their payments, then they sue to get the asset back to reclaim their losses. And that's what you call a pre-foreclosure. The key with them is you got to catch them early. The third one's going to be tax delinquencies. These are people that didn't pay their property taxes. I love when people get a couple of years behind on these and they're in average median price of 300,000 or less. 250 is my real preference. And when they come on that list, I go get that list. Getting this list is not the easiest one in the world either. But when I have that one, these people, they avoid the mail, they avoid the phone. So this is why I'm telling you use the strategy of reverse driving for dollars because it works really well. And you avoid that awkward confrontation because they don't want it. Now, when they call you, it switches the flip. And I'm here to tell you, if you're going to do reverse driving for dollars, for God's sakes, answer your phone. Don't do all this effort to go, I'm not going to answer it. I'm scared. Answer the phone. How do you answer the phone? Hey, it's Rick. Hello. Who is this? Hey, it's Rick. Hey, Rick, you left a note on my door. Just get into the conversation and talk to them. Remember, God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use accordingly. You got to become a great listener wholesaling. Great listeners can solve problems. Great listeners can solve problems. That's how it always works. So these are the 3. I put them up here. Don't worry, it's recorded. You can refer back to them. Once again, more deeper instructions inside of freewholesaling.com. It'll help you out. Our next strategy, cold calling. Oh no, I got to pick up the phone and call people. It's just another form of communication. That's all it is. And by far, hands down, it is the most effective, fastest way to get a deal because you don't have to get in your car. You can sit at home in your pajamas and do what you want. It works really well. So more importantly, Rick, what type of marketing am I going to do? What type of list am I going to call on for cold calling? And I'm going to give you the guerrilla marketing methods, the ones that work. Remember, you are working with a tiny, tiny little budget to have the biggest impact you possibly can. So ingredient number 1 is always going to be hard work. You got to put it in. So I'm going to give you every idea that I have for this because I'm doing it for free for you here. Ready? Arrest records. What do you mean? Well, people get arrested. They get incarcerated for stupid things, mostly DUIs. And when they get arrested 2 and 3 times, they go away for a long time. I cross-reference the arrest records. Yes, you can go online and easily pull these records. Multiple people get arrested every day in your county. It's not a huge list. And if they own property within that county, I'm going to skip trace them. If you want to learn how to skip trace, go over to dmzack.com, or you can do it for free at True People Search, cyberbackgroundschecks.com, and you can get their phone number. You don't need to use a paid service. You can do it absolutely for free, and just call them and see if there's an interest in selling your house. Get over the stigma of them being arrested. Who cares? It's not my business. I'm just looking to buy the real estate. Your odds go up if they own property and they've been arrested multiple times for like a DUI offense or something like that. It's got to be a felony. Don't worry. You're doing it over the phone. It's really easy. I don't want you ever to visit someone if you don't feel comfortable or safe. But these are regular people too. People make mistakes. So remember, the bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make in wholesaling. Which leads us to the next one. Water shutoffs. These are people that have their water shutoffs. Remember, they have to be public utility companies. If they're private, you're probably not going to get the list because it's a private corporation. You're going to get a lot of resistance on this one, but man, if you get this list, it's golden. If the water's not running in the property, there's no showers, there's no dishwasher running. I can let you use your imagination for the rest. It's not functional. That house needs to be sold. End of story. Also, it's going to tip you on people that are about to be evicted or are going to stop paying their rent. And it is a golden list and it works really well. Now, the next one after that, simply fire damaged properties. Most of the fires wind up in the kitchen or the bathroom. A lot of them are minor, some of them are major. They do take longer to sell, but you get a much longer inspection period, 3 to 4 times, which on an average wholesale deal. So the average inspection you have is anywhere from 60, 90 to 120 days. There are specialty buyers that target these types. They want them for deep discounts, but they know how to fix them. And those are the people you're going to market to. To learn how to do that, go over to freewholesaling.com. Now, moving on to step number 5, which is going to resonate with a lot of you that do, especially you younger people, because I'm not the best at this, but I get it. And we've used all these strategies in the business, and I've been experimenting with everything I'm going to give you right now since 2006. Yeah, that first 3 years, I didn't figure it out. And I started even before they had Facebook or YouTube. I know it's crazy showing my age, but it is. Internet marketing. I ain't talking about the paid service. You want to do the paid service, go find a guru. If you're going to do a paid service as a newbie wholesaler, I can almost guarantee you a miserable outcome because everyone's going to take your money and you're not, even if you get a deal handed in your lap, you're not going to know how to take it down. And for that reason alone, save your money. You've got to learn the journey of wholesaling. How? Cut your teeth on these types of leads. Why? They'll have the highest motivation. And why all the other gurus tell everyone to go chase these high-end expensive leads, PPC, direct mail, Facebook leads, all this stuff, you're going to have the path to the most direct, motivated sellers. Remember, there has to be some sort of motivation for a great wholesale deal to work out. It never works out if there's not any sort of motivation. Every now and then someone will sell. But remember, for someone to sell at a discount, there's usually got to be some sort of underlying issue. Think about it. Would you just sell your house if it was in perfect shape, your bank account was loaded, and you were in absolutely no rush? Obviously, no. So why do you think it's going to be any different than a seller? You've got to understand that. So I'm only going to show you the free methods because I'm going to be honest with you, do not start on any type of paid online thing because the methods I'm about to show you are the people that don't want to educate themselves or they think they can get everything done for them. And they think money will buy their way in the wholesaling and it won't. We're going to go ahead and take advantage of the techniques they do. And I'll show you here. So number 1, digital bandit signs. I'm going to show you how to go in groups you're already organically connected with. And you are going to use what we call bridge statements. So if you're in a dog one, you can talk about how much you love your, I don't know, your black lab. And you know, everyone takes pictures and back and forth and just say, I love black labs, just like I love helping people buy their house for cash. And honestly, you will get leads. I do this all the time. Now, the bigger the group, the better, but they're organic leads. I've been doing this for a super long time. I tested this out in the fishing community. It worked phenomenally, and it is no different for you guys. Now, you're not going to go into an investor group and do this type of post. It doesn't work. So dog groups, fishing groups, whatever your hobbies are. If you have a mom's group, if you have a kids group, it works there. Why? Because you already have an organic trust built in and they don't think you're a scammer. And you're not a scammer. If you learn with me and Zach, we don't teach how to do scams. I'm going to teach you how to get filthy rich the long and hard way. and the proven way. See, getting rich fast means you're going to get poor fast too. That's the truth of it. So digital bandit signs work really well. My favorite one is we're going to teach you how to piggyback. And by the way, you got to do the post and you got to do, yeah, it's work. I know. The next one is bandit comments. And this is piggybacking off the people that go out and do the fancy Facebook ads, or they hire a third party to do all their ad promoting them. They put it on YouTube ads, Google, all that other stuff. And then the gold's in the comment. And everybody knows on any type of ad, if you turn off the comments, they assume it's a scam. So they have to leave the comments on because that's what their consultants tell them. And there's leads sitting in those comments. Just respond to them and DM them right off the bat. Why? Because the wholesaler is relying on the third party that they're paying $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And in their agreement, they never agreed to answer the comments. So they don't answer the comments. The wholesaler doesn't answer. Who's answering the comments? You are. So when you answer the comments, it's golden leads. And I see deal after deal. I teach people all over the country how to do this. People telling you, Rick, you're stealing. Like that's illegal. It's nothing illegal. Playing by the rules. Here's the difference. I read the rule books. You didn't. You tried to pay your way through. I educated myself through. And wherever I find deals, I experiment, I work, and I share it with you guys. This, honestly, I did by accident. And I got a monstrous deal out of it. And I've gotten deal over and over. And I get notes all over the country. Go, Rick, it works well. It doesn't work every time, but I'm telling you. Do you want to pay $5,000 a month, or do you want to go in and do strategies like this? This is what we call guerrilla marketing. I love this stuff because you got to think outside the box. You got to be massively resourceful. So those work real well. What's the other one I have on here? We talked about doing JVs, which is nothing more than joint ventures. A lot of you guys can pair up in the comments. If remember, guys, when you're going to work with people, try to provide some sort of value. If you just go in every group and go, give me your cash buyers, give me your cash buyers, give me, like, for God's sakes, try to help somebody out. And if you lead with a helping hand, people are much more receptive. Some of my best business partners now are people who helped me when I struggled in wholesaling. And I feel like I got to pay them forward by working. And it's a very profitable relationship. It's no different than you. Now, where did I put this? We'll go over that one. Here's one that you guys often overlook. The garage sale list. Holy moly. There is a correlation with people that do garage sales that property is going to move. Now, here's the key with garage sales. I have to used to look them up on Craigslist ads. That's how we found most of them. Things have changed. A lot of it's on Facebook. Sometimes they're on the city sites. Sometimes they have to get permits for them. Avoid the ones that are chronic. Find the ones for sale. Cross-reference, see who the owner is. See if it's an absentee owner. How do you know if it's an absentee owner? They'll have a different mailing address than the property's physical address. If that's the case, do a skip trace on them. You don't go to the garage sale. I'm not, that's way too much work. Pick up the phone, see if there's an interest in selling the property. And I'm also going to, or the other tactic we teach you is, hey, I'm calling about the garage sale on, 4517 Southwest 3rd Street. Guy goes, I'm not having a garage sale. He goes, there's a garage sale going on there. And he's like, man, they stopped paying rent like 2 months ago. They're moving out. And when you surprise them with that knowledge, you just did the landlord a favor, which is your absentee owner. And it gives you the ultimate advantage over any other wholesaler, any other type of realtor. Why? Because you help them out. And I've been there when the renters do like a midnight move out and the house is in rough shape. There's no income coming in and they got to fix it all up. That is the prime time for a tired landlord to sell. So use the garage sale list. It works really well. My recommendation is just cold call them. Skip tracer number and call them and do exactly what I just told you. The other ones is just even going like through our, you can go through Rick in right here and put comments, but our Flip with Rick is really large and putting comments in there. I see people all the time connecting and working together. One's got a great cash buyers list. One's really good at finding distressed sellers. And if you put them together, a lot of times it can be magic and it works really well. And let's move on to our, okay, I got to pick up the pace here. I got a lot of stuff here. Networking strategies. So this goes along the lines, this is when you communicate with people to help you put deals together. So we already talked about JVs. Guys, consider attending your local re-events. That's real estate investor associations. Why? Because they work. I love them. Remember, you usually get into the first meeting for free, so go check it out. It's like between 10 and 20 bucks a meeting. It's really cheap. It's once a month. The best part of the meeting is before and after. You're going to get pitched while you're there. I advise do not buy it because they're not going to pitch you wholesaling strategies. Wholesaling is like a freak niche in most areas, and they're going to teach you how to fix and flip. They're going to teach you the bird method. Honestly, none of that crap works right now. So like, don't do it. That's something you can graduate into. I don't want you to start off doing that. Wholesaling is where you really want to start. The next one is you're like, oh, realtors. Are you crazy, Rick? Yes, realtors. Now I'm very careful here. I don't want you to go on MLS. I'm going to teach you the right way. Find realtors, do it old school way, go visit them, find a realtor that has an interest in investment properties. I like to find either the brand new ones. By the way, you can pull up their licenses, find the brand new ones because they'll hunt for anything for you. And then find the ones that actually enjoy investment properties. You can look up ones that only associate with cash sales. Some of the older realtors like to do this, and that's where I carved with it. I never had that much. I had a few young ones, but I had mostly older ones, but that was just my personality at the time. And then what I used to say, Jane, listen, if you ever have a property that say you sold 10 years ago and they come back to sell it to you and it just looks like crap and you don't even know how you're going to list it, you told them they had to do $5,000 in repairs, dude, let me give you a solution for that. Instead of not listing it, making no commission, give me a call. I'll give you a cash offer on it. And if we come to an agreement, I'll make sure you get paid your full commission. And I'll even consider relisting with you. Now, I rarely relist it to them. I know that's a hook, but you got to do it with realtors. It works well. I don't want a realtor calling me every other day because if you don't teach them the right way, they'll call you 10 times. And when you don't act 10 times, they don't want to work with you. And this is why we have this Hatfield-McCoy argument going on with realtors and wholesalers, because we waste their time. And I don't blame them for like being pissed at realtors and vice versa. They waste wholesalers' time too. So I don't want you to do that. That's the best way to do it. Property management companies are a wonderful, wonderful source. These are usually owned by brokers, and they do this so they can get leads for their listing. There's a lot of bad landlords out there. There's a lot of bad tenants out there. And if you can connect with the person that runs the front desk, it's usually a couple girls, maybe a guy, connect with them, get them a cup of coffee, get them some donuts, maybe buy them lunch. And if they refer you a lead, make sure you take care of them. Now, and the really cool part, most of them are licensed realtors, so you can actually legally pay them on the HUD. It's perfect. So the last thing is, okay, what if we get a little bit of money to do paid list? It's real simple. My favorite one is just simply go over to listrei.com. You get a 7-day free trial period, but from there, after that, it's basically 99 bucks a month. They've been around a long time. We use them in our business. It's extremely reliable. We get deals off them all that. People get it all over the country. And it's a US company, and you can pick up the phone and actually call somebody. It's really cool. And I trust them with my credit card and everything else, but it works there. These are the type of lists I like to pull in there, especially as a beginner. Maybe you got a couple deals on your belt. Now we're pushing you closer to that 250. So we need to get a little bit more consistency. So we're going to have to leverage and trade money to expedite our time because we can't do everything. So the first section of skill sets I taught you to find motivated sellers is going to require a ton of your time, a ton of your sweat equity. When you get a couple deals on your belt, trade it out. This is so much cheaper than hiring an employee, and you want to do it. Listrei.com. Vacants, tired landlords, probates, and high equities. And if you want to know how to use the correct filters on these, go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you in detail how to do that. Now, the next one. No, guys, I just gave you so much everything I gave you, I can easily get you $500,000. So if I cut that in half and give you a learning curve, it's $250K. So let's talk about it. What is the difference between a wholesaler that does $250K versus a wholesaler that doesn't make it? Guys, it's simple. It always comes down to this. How hard are you willing to work? Gut check right now. Give me the honest answer. Because if you're not willing to put in the work, it's not going to work. You actually have to work in wholesaling. And this is the key ingredient most people aren't telling you. And it bugs me because honestly, I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was, like, to be brutally honest. And luckily, I had a good work ethic. Failure was not an option for me. I burned every bridge. That was it. There was no going back with me. I always said, worst case scenario, I can go back to my old self, my old job. But I was miserable there. Why the hell would I ever want to go back there? And I didn't want to do that. And here's the only difference. How hard are you willing to work? And here's the difference in people if I know you're willing to work. By the way, full disclosure, everybody tells me they want to be super successful at wholesaling. Everybody, listen to me, 100% of you tell me that. So why is it a lot of people don't do it? You know why? Number one, how hard are you willing to work? You have to answer that question. If you're not willing to work hard, don't do this because you're just going to burn through money and you're going to get irritated and you're going to go do it like another job. If you plan on quitting, if it gets tough, then just quit before you start. The only way you screw up wholesaling is by quitting. Quitters are for losers. I'm sorry. If you quit everything, Go back. Remember, I told you in the beginning of this video, do a gut check on yourself to make sure you're not going to use your old style to bring it in the wholesaling, because you already know it doesn't work. I had to change everything I do about me. And I know that sounds like terrible, but it's true. I was trained by my school system, I was trained by my college, and I was trained by my parents and my family. It doesn't mean I don't love them. It was just some of the worst financial training you'll ever have in your life. Nothing in business works like it does in school. School and college is here just to train you to get a job. Why? So you'll go to work, you'll keep these companies moving, so 401ks keep moving, and the government gets their tax-based money. End of story. And you are penalized the most being a W-2 employee because you have to pay the most taxes, you have the least amount of deductions, and if you don't want to read the rule book, you will be just like everybody else. And listen, if you want to do that, I'm fine with it. Like, we can't have everybody being wholesalers or it would be really problematic. But if you're that type of person that wants the exception in life, and understand you get one shot at this, I don't know what you're waiting for. And if you're watching this video, you're watching this live, you have to make this decision. This is the part that's left out of every wholesaling course pitch you guys get. What do you mean I'm going to do hard work? I just paid you X amount of dollars. No. Your troubles just begin when you do that, because you're gonna have to do the work. It doesn't matter if you pay me or you get it for free. The hard work is non-negotiable. It will never work. Here's the difference between people that thrive in wholesaling and the people that quit. One tries, one tries wholesaling, the other makes wholesaling a must. Boom. That should be your light bulb going off for that. If you're just gonna try wholesaling, don't even start. It's not going to work. But if you make it a must, it'll work. Think about your must. Think about your must in your life. Anything that you have to do, that you must do, you will sacrifice anything to get it done. And I'm not even going to give you the example because I want you all to run it through your head right now. What is your must? Think about the things that you tried today. Think about the things you tried last week. Think about the resolutions you made for 2024. You're going to try them, or is it a must? It's gut check time, guys. And every person I sit down and talk about wholesaling, when they have struggles, we get into it. And it has the one core thing. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. Until you make it a must, it's not going to work.